Hey folks, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Today we're looking at the Nissan Frontier Pro 4X. Now this truck was redesigned in 2022, and in the meantime, we've gotten new mid-sizers from just about everybody. So I think the question we have to answer today is, has the Frontier totally been left behind, or is it still competitive? Let's get out there, hit the trail, and take a look. Right off the top, we have to talk about all the accessories that have been added to this Frontier. And yes, they are all Nismo accessories. So these are all things you can get straight from Nissan. So essentially the truck you're looking at came from a dealership just like this. So what has been added? Well, we have those Axis bronze wheels, a suspension lift kit, high performance front suspension along with high performance rear suspension, and new forged upper control arms. Up top, you have a roof rack, and out back there is the high overlanding rack. Now we also have A-pillar light mounts, which are fitted with 4-inch round driving lights. There's a catback exhaust here, and a Nismo hood graphic. Now that's quite a few additions, and if you add up the prices to all of them, you're talking about roughly $16,000 Canadian for all of this stuff. And of course, that doesn't include installation. You add that on top of the truck's $53,000 price point, and this is essentially a $70,000 truck here in Canada as it sits. Now let's talk specs on the Frontier. So under the hood is a naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6. This thing makes 310 horsepower, 281 pound-feet of torque, and that is sent exclusively through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Nissan, when they redesigned this truck, ditched the manual, so yeah, you're only getting manuals now from Toyota or Jeep. But it is nice that if you love a naturally aspirated V6, that Nissan still offers one, because just about every other truck in this market has moved to small displacement 4-cylinder turbocharged engines. So this is the Pro 4X model, which is the off-road model in the lineup, although you do also get some unique styling, a different grille up front, that prominent Nissan badge right there on the nose. Underneath, we do have a full skid plate package, and you're getting a rear locker, but like usual, one of the biggest upgrades are the tires. Here we have Bridgestone Dueler all-terrains, and I am curious to see how those feel out on the trail. And you know what, right now, why don't we throw the truck up on our truck ramp and take a look underneath at all of these upgrades. Now let's take a look underneath the truck. So first of all, I like to point out the tow hooks. Big, nice, exposed red tow hooks on this truck. I do like that. They're easy to get to. Then we get to our very first skid plate here. One thing I want to point out, they leave a bit of a gap between skid plate and bumper. Not a huge deal, but when you do get down in the mud, and especially the snow, this is going to scoop a lot of that stuff right into that gap. So I just wish that was sealed up right there. Now, this is my handy dandy magnet to see what these are made out of, and it won't stick there. So this front skid plate is aluminum, but right behind it, we get to the steel. So there's steel, and then even the transfer case skid plate, that is steel as well. So a bit of a mixed materials approach. I think this one up front is mostly just for styling. They want it to look good, and that's one of the reasons it's finished with aluminum. So over here, we also have the upgraded suspension. These are Bilstein shock absorbers, and one thing that Nissan says is that with this upgraded Nismo suspension, the truck can carry more weight. It has been designed to carry all of the overlanding stuff which is attached to this truck, so that's nice to know. They also say that these can be adjusted for different varying levels of lift. So if you just want 1/2 inch, 1 inch, or 2 inch, you can set these up. In this case, we do have a 2-inch lift. So I'll roll back now, and you can see one more skid plate here at the rear. That's on the fuel tank. And that is also a steel skid plate. Always nice, in my opinion, to have a real proper skid plate on your fuel tank. And then when we get to the very rear end, I can just point out up in here, there's your block lift right there, your 2-inch lift in the rear end. And then again, you're getting those Bilstein shocks, which have remote reservoirs to avoid shock fade. And especially with all the weight on here today, I'm very curious to see how this truck feels once we go get it in the mud. Just before we take off, let's look at the camera system here in the Nissan, and we do have the 360-degree around view monitor. So we put it in reverse, and there's your first view. It's the top-down view plus the rear, and you get the predictive guideline, so as you turn, you can see where you might end up. Now, the other one I want to show you is, I'm going to put it into 4 low now, so shift into neutral, put it in 4 low, and this off-road camera view comes up and it actually stays on to allow you to see the trail in front of you. So there's your nose camera, and the other one's looking forward at your front tires. And when you are off-road, having these views is helpful just to be able to see exactly where your vehicle is in relation to the obstacle or the trail. So definitely that's good news. But the bad news is just straight up the quality of these cameras. They look like they're over a decade old, and it looks like one of the spots where Nissan chose to save money on this redesign was with the quality of their cameras. So it's good enough to see where you're going, but I do wish we had a little bit more resolution and clarity out of the camera system. Alrighty folks, time to dive in. We're gonna start over here at the offset ruts, which are also full of water today. Now let me spit out the off-road numbers here. Ground clearance, and I love this, Nissan actually lists the ground clearance at the front differential and at the rear differential. That's pretty cool. The front diff, 9.5 inches of clearance. The rear diff, 9.8 inches of clearance. But yes, 9.5 is the true ground clearance. That's the lowest point on the truck. Now, approach angle, talking 32.3 degrees. Departure, 23. And a breakover of 19.6. So here we go. I am currently in 4-wheel drive high, and I'm going in unlocked. I'm not going to put the locker on because I'm curious to see what traction control does with this truck. In a lot of modern trucks, every modern truck pretty much, traction control is able to break the wheel spinning and send some power the other way. So let's see if Nissan's traction control is good enough to get me through. And we're about to start spinning right about now. So I have no traction on my rear passenger or front driver, and I'm not going anywhere. I didn't even really feel traction control trying to get me out. Let me just try one more time. Oh no, it's stuck and it doesn't feel like it wants to do anything. All right, well, this is what lockers are for, folks. I think this truck needs me to be in 4 low for the diff lock. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Diff is now locked. That should make all the difference. Here we go. Uh-oh. The diff is locked, but it's also incredibly muddy. So the traction that I do have is not doing anything. I'm gonna try to reverse now. Oh, I got good in reverse. Is the nose rubbing?
Yeah, you're turtle.
All right, well, a little bit of momentum. I'm gonna hit it just a little bit here because I got a bit in reverse. I'm all locked up now. Here we go. Just to get over that one moment of being turtled. Man, it's not happy. And I am in 4 low now, folks. Oof. That didn't sound good either. Well, let's back out and assess a little bit. Okay, folks, so I jumped out and checked it out, and yeah, the truth was in those offset ditches, Dad, we didn't have the clearance or the grip. I mean, everything is super soft today. The truck says it's only 2 degrees Celsius. Feels way warmer than that in the sun. And it's been warm around here. It's springtime conditions, which means the entire, top 6 inches of earth is just mushy.
Just saturated,
so
absolutely.
We got no grip out of the tires. And then the fact that the differential was digging in, you can see in the ground where it was digging in, the truck was getting turtled. Now, those things I can't blame necessarily on the truck. Conditions always change off-roading. We talk conditions a lot because you have to, right? They really do make a huge difference. However, I'll tell you what I felt from behind the wheel, and that is a traction control system that was doing nothing. We've run so many vehicles through there lately, and I always go in unlocked because I like to feel what the traction control system does. I mean, the Sequoia TRD Pro made it through there, and I praise the Sequoia not for its clearance was bad too, but the traction control system without the locker was able to send the power where it was needed. This system, it's not a nice way to put it, but it felt dumb. It felt old school. It basically said, you need to put the locker on to send the power over. I'm not going to do any of that for you. So yeah, it had that old school feeling, and in that case, it didn't feel great.
I was watching it from outside, and so a couple of things right off the bat. As I think you've already said, what, 9.5 inches of clearance?
Right.
It's not enough. And the truck itself has kind of a nose down attitude. You can see it. And then the other thing that I saw right away was this skid plate that they're using here is really short.
Yeah.
And the way that it ends, it literally becomes a shovel. When
Yeah.
you're backing up, I watched you. You were like plowing the field with it.
Yeah.
Which of course makes me very nervous because you're digging up all sorts of stuff and rocks and dirt and jamming it into places it's not supposed to be.
Totally, yeah. Skid plates, you know, they should have done a better job at just making sure everything was sort of tucked up so they didn't have all those gaps.
Yeah, and the idea with a skid plate is that it skids over something
Exactly, doesn't
and
scoop.
doesn't take it all with it.
Right. So now we've come over to what we call Cripple Hill. And you know what? This is, I think, a common case with off-roading too, Dad. I'm not feeling super confident in the truck, so we're not going to rush to our tough trails. We'll try a bit of an easier section and then sort of assess and go from there.
Yeah, this is a little more technical, and we got a lot of ruts, rocks, and logs, and then just a little hill climb that's typically very slippery.
Yeah, so we'll see what it does. So we're here. Dad just jumped out to spot me, and I said already that the traction control felt old school. Well, there's another old school thing. The truck won't come out of 4 low. And to be honest, for quite a while, this was expected. You'd have to put it in neutral, a little bit of drive, a little bit of reverse, a little bit of neutral, shake it around a little bit, and there we go. So that was sort of the thing. You had to do that. In my truck, my 1985 Chevy K10, I expect to have to do that to get it in and out of 4 low. These days, with so many new vehicles, the transitions from 4 high to low, and especially the lockers, have become almost seamless, like incredibly impressive with how quickly these trucks can switch in and out. And this Nissan is not one of them. Again, it feels decidedly old school. Even in that way, I'm still here shaking and rocking the thing to get it in and out of 4-wheel drive. Anyways, that being said, now we are ready to go. So I took it out of 4 low, I put it in 4 high, which means my locker came off, traction control's on, and we'll see what happens. So first obstacle here is Mr. Log on my front driver's side tire. Right about there. Now climbing. Oh, that felt really good. Grip there felt good. The climb felt strong. And I am just in 4 high. Now this is always just a bit of a tight spot, because you got the tree on your passenger side, but the monster rock on the driver's side. Can use my camera here. Am I gonna clear it? I just want to see if I can make it around it. I don't want to climb it. It's going to drop down on the other side. The rear end is probably going to end up climbing her a little, so don't worry.
You're gonna miss it completely.
That's what I was going for. Because the Frontier, especially in the last generation, was often knocked for its turning radius. Nissan did make it better in the new gen. Not massively better, but enough that it's noticeable. Now I'm climbing a bit of a rock. Yeah, on my passenger side there. Or maybe I'm not climbing a rock on my passenger side there. All right, well, then I am backing up. If I back up, it should be easy enough.
That's all you need.
But Dad is right that a lot of vehicles come through here these days and they don't need to back up. All right, and four-wheel high.
It's very snotty right now.
I should make it up the hill okay, though. Here we go.
Be up there with that.
Couple rocks there, cleared them. All right, well, there we go. Made it up a bit of a slick hill okay. But yeah, that also showed that the turning radius wasn't great. And then the turning radius shows off another thing, which is, it's a negative or a positive, that's sort of subjective, but I'll just tell you what it is. Heavy steering. This is the heaviest steering in any modern vehicle I can name. Any vehicle we've driven, you name it, this has heavier steering. One of the reasons is Nissan still has hydraulic power steering here. They didn't move to electric power steering. Of course, every vehicle has basically done that. So yeah, you have to be prepared for a heavy steering wheel if you go for the Frontier. On the positive side, lots of feedback. That connection to the vehicle is really good. You feel everything underneath you through your hands, and I like that. But on the negative side, at slow speeds, it's real work to crank this wheel, unlike most other vehicles out there today. By now you've seen some of what this truck can do, but I wanted to jump back in and answer what I think is a key question. Why would you buy all of these accessories? And the answer is overlanding. Now, what is overlanding? It's all about camping as far away from civilization as possible with your four-wheel drive vehicle. So you want to go on some rough, gnarly trail and take all of your camp gear with you. And that's exactly what these racks are all about. Up there, the roof rack, that's rated at 150 pounds. Back here, this high rack is rated at 750 pounds dynamic, so 750 when you're on the move, or 1,200 pounds static when you're just sitting still. And that static number is important because one of the primary uses for a rack like this is a rooftop tent. Now, the Nismo Accessory catalog also includes a rooftop tent, so you could get one straight from Nissan if you wanted it, but of course there's many different options available. And the beauty of a rack like this is your tent sits up here, you can put all your tools down the side, there's many different attachment points, so if you have ratchet straps, bungees, whatever it may be, you can tie all of your stuff up to the rack and still have full use of your bed. That is really the key here. So this truck is going to be able to bring a ton more stuff along with you without cluttering up your back seat or your bed space. And that is the most important key for overlanding, is being able to bring all of that stuff. Now, I do want to talk about payload really quickly, because this truck, as it sits, as per the door jam sticker, has 1,080 pounds of payload capacity. But then if you read the specifications for the Nismo upgraded suspension, it says right on there, this suspension is designed to carry more weight than stock for things like the overlanding racks or bigger bumpers or bigger tires. Now, sadly, there's just no numbers put on that. They don't say the new suspension can handle X amount of weight. So this today is really going to be all about feel, hitting the trail and trying to feel how the suspension is handling all the extra pounds that have been tacked onto this truck. Now we continue on. It's at this point, I do want to talk a little more about the tires. These Bridgestone Dueler all-terrains, they're just not getting the grip, and they're caking up with mud, and they're not letting go of the mud. Usually once you get them spinning, you know, their whole idea is they'll eject the mud. These things are just staying caked up. So we'll see how it goes through here. This is what's called Wall Street. Definitely one of the more tame trails we have, but it's actually getting deeper with these ruts. Here we go now. Coming through. Okay, that was good. That was no problem. Good clearance there. Tires were enough. I will speak positively about the powertrain. I really like the naturally aspirated, linear power, very easy to modulate. But even coming through there, the truck feels like it's just sliding a little bit around. Feels like it's kind of on ice or on marbles. And it's not a good feeling. And that, I chalk up to the tires, man. If you own the truck, you'd probably change it. But yeah, I just have to point out that from stock, these Dueler ATs they just don't feel as good as a lot of the other all-terrains that we run back here all the time, say a set of Goodyear Wrangler Duratracs. And now, folks, we have made our way over to the left hook. We're gonna run it backwards today. That is because normally we come out of the deep section and up the hill. I'm not feeling confident that these tires on such a muddy day are gonna get me up that hill. So we're coming in the backside of the left hook, and it starts with some mud that's getting deeper and deeper all the time, with ruts that are getting deeper. So I'm gonna carry a bit of momentum into it, and then we'll see what happens. Here we go. So 4 high still, not locked. Ooh, ooh, skid plate, belly. It's dragging, and I have the grip, but man, it's all over the place. I can just, yeah, I'm sliding sideways.
Woo! Slippery.
Look, I'm stuck on what's barely a hill here. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. A bit of reverse. I need a bit more of a run.
Oh, look at that thing slide.
Oh, but I'm too close to these trees. Okay, now here we go. So I'm gonna go hard driver's side. You know what? I am also going back into 4 low, folks. I want to get that good power. Okay, ready? Man. Come on, baby. Do it. It cannot hop out of the ruts. It can't hop the ruts, man. I hate to say this, but I literally think if you push by hand, I might get enough, because it feels like I'm on ice.
All right.
I won't go too hard for the sake of your coat. I'm not trying to spray you.
I'm gonna stand here. I won't get it.
Yeah, I won't go too crazy, but I think this could help. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Come on, Dad, pushing power, Dad, pushing power! Pushing power, no! Ah!
What'd you stop for?
I don't have momentum and I'm sliding sideways into those trees. I don't want to wreck Nissan's truck.
Why?
I think we need recovery equipment, man. I'm already just...
You know what?
We're trying
Considering
turning
what I just
around.
did there, let me just roll out my cable on the ATV, because we don't need much.
I don't need much. Yeah, there's just no grip right in this situation. Okay, folks, it is recovery time. Maybe I could have worked my way out of here, but honestly, I'm too close to these trees and it is so slick today. So, as you saw, one second, Dad pushing the truck actually made a difference and started bringing me forward. So right now, we've hooked up just our lightweight ATV winch, because I don't need much. I don't need much. It already helped me out, and here we go. Yeah, it's pulling me, no problem. My rear end is still sliding. The tires, I feel like I'm on ice. The tires are so caked up with mud. But I just keep letting the winch do its thing. Yeah, stopping. Yeah, okay, stop the winch. Okay, folks, I'm stopped on the hill, but it felt like I had some traction, so let's see what happens. Here we go. Diff locked still in 4 low. There we go, there we go. Yes, yes, yes. But that felt okay once we got up into the dry. And yeah, the tires had a chance to do their thing. One of the tires even got a little bit of mud scraped off it, I think, by the rocks. So maybe that even helped. Okay, folks, we turned around. We winched up the hill. I'm not going into the deeper section. Now I'm feeling not confident at all. So we're going back the way we came. I'm currently using Nissan's downhill control. So this is all it. I'm not touching the brake. And it's doing a nice job. But pretty soon I'm going to hit the gas here and get momentum. Here we go. I need momentum. Let's do this. I'm in 4 low and I'm locked up. Come on, baby. Yep. 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 Sliding all over the place. But, well, come on, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. I can feel everything dragging. Belly drag, differential drag. There we go. Well, as many people note, momentum is your friend. And right there, momentum absolutely helped me. But what can I say after all of that? A couple of huge of notes which come right to mind. The first one, the tires are no good in this mud. They're getting so caked up. But you know what? I can't pin it all on the tires. Tires are probably the most important part of off-roading, especially when you go in the mud. But I have to tell you guys, the traction control system just seems dumb. It seems old school, outdated. There's no off-road mode here. There's no mud mode. And as much as you might write those things off, they tell the brain how to act. They let it know how much wheel spin they should have, how much slip, how to send the power. So all of these modern trucks have so many more tricks which truly do make a difference. And in this truck, you know what? It's more akin to my 85 Chevy. Honestly, when I get through there, it feels like my old dumb big green with none of the modern conveniences to speak of. So yeah, in a way, I'd say great, old school off-roader. It's more about the driver. But yeah, compared to the other mid-sized trucks on the market targeted for off-roading, the Pro 4X simply falls short. Well, folks, we're off the trail now, and I have even more bad news to report. So right after the very first obstacle, right after the offset ruts, where the truck was in pretty much maximum flex, I could just hear a clunking coming out of the rear end, coming up and over bumps, ka-clunk, ka-clunk. And it was very obviously coming from the rear driver's side. So now that we're off, I'm like, I want to put it up on the rack and see what I can see. Well, take a look right here. It appears as though this shock blew out all of its oil right out of the bottom end. Again, it would have been in an extreme flex, but you know what? There's no excuse for that. We've run a lot of vehicles through those offset ruts, and I've never had a shock do this. And it's just disappointing, and even more disappointing because this is the Nismo high performance suspension, and this shock couldn't take what was, you know, pretty tame off-roading, all things considered. Well, folks, we have come to the end of this video, and you know what, Dad? I came in with high hopes, but after the day of off-roading today, yeah, the Frontier just, not only did it not do great, it just clearly doesn't stack up to the other mid-size off-roaders that are on the market. What do you think?
And that's the key, Steve, because as you well know, this has actually been a really good off-roader. Trouble is, it was good off-roader 15 years ago.
Yeah, and that's exactly the problem. Nissan says that it was fully redesigned in 2022, but the truth is the bones of this truck are from 2005, and today just about everything really felt like it was from 2005. And then honestly, it also broke, and that's the most disappointing part because we didn't do anything that felt all that extreme today. So yeah, sadly at the end of this one, I'm not feeling very great about the new Nissan Frontier.
No, exactly, and the only other thing to say, and this is going out to Nissan, if you price this thing right, they'll sell. But if you're trying to price this along with the Toyotas and the GMs and the Ford, sorry, not gonna happen.
Yeah, fair point. Well, folks, that is the end of this one. So now, of course, we need to hear your thoughts. Go in the comments below. Let us know about everything you saw in this video. What do you think? What do you think about the Frontier, the shock, everything? While you're down there, don't forget to mash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and then hit join to become a member of Truck King, and come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next. See ya.
Ciao.